They're back in the studio for Conor McGregor's. I gotta bring that up, man.
What?
The exhibit and now Bone Thugs and Harmony joining Conor McGregor's new record label.
What the fuck? He's got a record label?
Which is nuts. He got the whole Bone Thugs and Harmony back together. Every member in the studio for the first time since back in the day.
Bro, Conor McGregor did.
Yeah.
How did he do this?
I don't fucking know. I don't know why he thinks this is a good investment. But Bone Thugs and Harmony are done.
I don't know, man.
Exhibit's done.
Now here's my thing. Would you not go to the reunion tour? You wouldn't pull up?
No.
That's
a slight bit. I would never I wouldn't listen to another song from them.
I wouldn't listen if they never made another album, I wouldn't be upset. I'm gonna be honest with you.
No, I don't know. It's just like, I don't know. Conor McGregor's out of his fucking mind.
If anything he would have started, I wouldn't think it would be a record label.
Yeah, dude. It's like, dude, did you just start listening to hip hop? Like it's like he just jumped into the genre. Like, yo, this is fire. I'm signing him. He's independent. No, I'm gonna sign him. I'm gonna sign this group.
I wonder how deep like his knowledge goes, or he's just like, nah, I've always been a fan.
Yeah.
I wanted you on my record label since I was a kid, since I was a wee lad.
Yeah. Greenback Records is what it's called.
That's great, man. That's honestly what it should be.
Exhibit and Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Why Exhibit?
I don't know. Man. It's just fucking crazy. If I was him, I'd bring back Pimp My Ride and get the whole shit going.
Bro, I think
360 deal.
Pimp My Ride, brought to you by Conor McGregor, would be the funniest thing I'd ever watched in my life. Somehow you'd get it on the UFC mats on the bottom and everything. You would just see like Conor McGregor's face with like just a souped up 03 Honda Civic with a fish tank in the back and a dry cleaner in the back seat.
Man. It'd definitely be different.
I don't understand how they ever came up with those combos when it came to that show. They were just like, well, we know you like grilled cheese, so we built in a toaster into your CD player.
Yo,
what are you talking about?
I remember when I was in the 7th grade, my teacher went on a rant, because this is when, like, Pimp My Ride was popping.
Yeah.
And she was just like, we were talking about Pimp My Ride. Everybody was talking about Pimp My Ride. And she was just like, why did they, I hate that they call it Pimp My Ride. She started going on a little rant. And it was like, if only they knew how horrible pimping was. And I'm thinking like, yo, what the fuck, lady?
that's like the same energy as like anytime anything spooky happens, your parents are like, brujeria.
Yeah.
You're like, no, you don't understand. You're like tattoos. You're like, you're a demon. It's like, no, that's not what it means.
That's probably why I ain't got no tats. I thought my dad was gonna hate me forever.
No, man, I can't be buried in a Jewish cemetery like a tattoo, so I decided not to go with them. Anyway, that's a perfect time to start the episode. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Uneducated MMA. I'm your host with the most, Juan Bread. And of course, joining me to my left is the BMF champion of the world, REG.
Hell yeah. Another episode. Let's go.
This Justin, unfortunately, is actually not unfortunately. He's on vacation.
Yeah, good for him.
Honestly, good for him. I'm not gonna lie.
Everybody needs one.
I did text him and I was like, "Yo, listen, we're gonna record this episode because we got a lot of breaking news this week." But he was just like, "Listen, man, I'm about to catch a flight." And you know what? I was like, "Listen, I'm proud of you. I'm happy for you, but I'm gonna hate you a little bit because you're getting out of this cold, and I get to get stuck here." Bro,
think about all this ice that's been around, and I ain't talking jewelry.
Bro, it's real bad. Honestly, I've slipped, but I haven't fallen just yet.
Bro, I'm embarrassed to say that this is the most I've ever slipped and fallen.
No, it's like, dude.
On back, pause. Fucking 5 in the morning.
Spread eagle, pause.
Yeah, 5 in the morning driveway. Whoa, my back. And like almost tore my ACL the other day.
That's not fun, man.
Not at all.
Listen, I've had plenty of winters where I've just completely just fucked up, slipped, just trying to go down the stairs. Have you ever seen the episode of Family Guy where Peter, like, they replace the stairs and he just keeps falling down them? That's what it looks like every single time I get out of the house. I'm just scared for my life. Even though, like, where I live, they completely take care of the complex. They salt everything like crazy. But either way, like, I still see people slipping and sliding all over the place, man. I'm not trusting it. I've had people literally text me. They're just like, yo, listen, my whole spinal cord is fractured. I cannot go anywhere right now. I just busted my whole shit open. Pause.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's crazy.
But it's bad out there, man. But, yeah, no. Shout out to Justin. Shout out to getting out of this cold and going to the warm weather. Honestly, I wish I was you, man. I'm not going to lie to you.
Man, fuck that groundhog, too.
Yo, honestly, I got to pull up. What's his name? Phil? I got to pull up to Phil, bro.
Honestly, 6 weeks. He said 6 weeks.
6 weeks. What if I throw him a couple, a couple Benjis, see what he changes his mind or something
hey,
like that.
I got a little food for you.
A little something. You stay in the hole. Don't see your shadow. I don't even know what the rules are, man. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I think he already popped out. I think that was the thing. But it's way too cold still.
No, man. Honestly, I think at some point we're gonna have to move this podcast to somewhere a little warmer. We'll figure it out. Uneducated MMA takes Thailand.
Takes Dubai.
Yeah. We'll figure it out. We'll get Turkey Al Sheikh to promote us, and we'll move out to Dubai.
Shit.
That'd be fly. That's how we get our start in the professional MMA circuit. We'll be out
just
here.
like sitting in like announcer table.
You guys will know when we sell out. You'll know. Yeah. There will be signs. You know what I mean? When you see that, it's like the meme where it's like, you'll know you won't know when I win the lottery, but there will be signs. You're going to see me and him in the full getup somewhere in Dubai, just like, yo, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Uneducated MMA. That's going to be great.
I'm a pretty humble person, but when I'm up, I show it.
No, facts. You see me flexing every now and then? You can tell. His tax returns just hit. You got that tax money. Flip that. Never mind.
Yep.
But we got some breaking news this week to MMA news.
Hell yeah. A lot of news.
Dude, I'm not going to lie to you. Dana White.
He's a madman.
Love him or hate him, the man's insane. He's like Vince McMahon. He comes at you crazy, but like when he delivers, the man delivers, man. Yeah, I'm not gonna. I think it was him that was just like, announcement coming soon. And then I started seeing all the MMA pages that I follow just posting, announcement soon, announcement soon, announcement soon. And I'm like, all right, bet. Then it's like 7:30, 8 o'clock. Announcement coming up soon, don't you worry. And I'm like, all right, bet. Then it's like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. I'm fading away on my couch waiting for this man to say anything. No post. I was like, all right, cool. I fell asleep for like maybe like 30 minutes. So like it's like now around like midnight and I wake up. Everywhere on my news feed, everybody and their grandmother's posting. Let's see. Ilya vacated title belt to move up to 155. Alexander Volkanovski versus Diego Lopez. Michael Chandler versus Paddy Pimblett. Patricio Pitbull versus Yair Rodriguez. Bilal Muhammad versus Jack Dalla Maddalena. Valentina Shevchenko versus Manel Ferro. And let's see, Leon Edwards versus Sean Brady, and plenty more. What happened?
I don't know.
What happened?
I
faded away for an hour and I woke up and Dana White's just bugging out on Instagram Live, just being like, here you guys go. I'll take them. I'll take them all.
I know. These are some good fights. He gives the people what they want to see.
For sure. I was listening to a couple of people's takes to kind of get, what are other people saying out there? What's the world saying about these? And a lot of people were saying the same thing, that like, yo, man, like it was just a little too quiet for a little too long. And I think that there were some high expectations people had for other fights that Dana White was like, I got to deliver with something. Right. And he was just like, let him sleep on it a little bit. And then, bam, he hits you with the Instagram Live where he's – by the way, what do you think about that? Him going on Instagram Live versus it just being like a pre-cut promo. Like, you could talk to him. Like, he's responding to, like, people, like, being in the chat like, yo, this is crazy, Dana.
That is interesting.
I feel like it's a vibe.
I bet a lot of people tune in.
Let people say some crazy stuff. Oil up Dana. Bro, I don't know if you go into the comments of, like, the official UFC page, but it is crazy. Yo,
I bet, yeah.
Us fans, not myself. I'm not going to say I'm out here posting crazy stuff. Maybe on the burner Twitter account. But
people are wild.
People are wild, man.
You know how often I leave a comment? Well, that doesn't get left. I'll write a comment, look at it like, nah. And I just delete that shit. I don't know. Everybody puts their opinion in. It's not always needed.
See, it's crazy for me because I will go like paragraphs in a I don't know, like messages with people. Like I'll go back and forth and just talking about like they'll send me like an article, or like for example when all this stuff came out, like they were sending me like stuff like, oh, did you see that this fight got announced? And I would just start going back and forth like crazy. But you'll never catch me in comment sections just like doing the same thing. Even though like you see like that's what like majority of people are getting their opinion out. They're like just going in the comment section. I'll like post and dump, and I don't really like go back to them. But like if people like interact with me in the comments of like the videos and stuff like that we post, then I will go back and forth in that way. But I won't join somebody else's comments and just get up in there and be like, yo,
this is my opinion.
Nah.
Now lately, with like other sports, I have been trying to be a little bit more active on social media, just to more interaction, more discussion.
Yeah.
But I don't want to end up arguing with someone online.
See, it's a cool thing because it's like, oh, I can talk to like mad random people about stuff that I'm like interested in, but then at the same time you come across a lot of fucking dickheads, bro. You don't want to talk to at all. Yeah. And they are just chirping away at you, and you're like, bro, I'm about to throw my phone halfway across the room. And it's somebody that you, for all you know, could be a bot somewhere. Yeah. It's just a computer just talking smack to you.
Going back and forth like, nah, I don't know. I can't do it.
Yeah, no, I think it's too much of a headache for me, but who knows? I'll start talking, especially when we got an announcement like this. I don't even know where we're gonna begin. Like,
Yeah, right.
I feel like the biggest news, and I feel like this seems to be everybody's kind of topic, is Ilya.
Yeah.
Ilya, that whole 145 division with him, Volk, Diego. What's going on with that one? I think it's crazy, but it makes sense. He did say he was gonna do it, so at the same time, it's not that insane.
Right.
That he was like giving up the belt to move up rather than just taking it and being like, let me become double champ. He was just like, no, I did what I needed to do, and now it's time for the next one.
Yeah, that's your hard as hell.
It
man.
is, it is.
Like, he's a dog, man.
I was listening to the Ariel Helwani show before we came over here, and I was listening to them talk about it, and like their opinion was like the UFC apparently isn't too big on the whole double champ thing. Like you holding up one division to go get a belt in another one, which I could see that. That makes sense.
It ain't like boxing where there's freaking a million freaking
Bro,
belts.
that's part of it where I can't get into boxing, man. Why do they got 400,000 belts, man?
I don't know.
It makes no sense to me.
To keep up with.
It's so much to keep up with, man. Like every time I see a photo of a fighter, and I'm like, I don't know who this person is. They're always like this, and they're just holding up. It's like belt, 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 belt. And I'm like,
right.
do they defend them all, or do they just fight and defend them all at the same time?
I think there's
That you see what I mean?
yeah.
Because at least in UFC, you can't like I don't think you can't fight a double champ and get both belts. You have to fight them in one of the weight divisions.
Like, give me all your belts. I just beat you.
Yeah, at that point, there's no point. There's no point.
Like, what do you mean? I got mad belts.
I got mad belts. That's when you start doing WWE weight classes where it's just like there's like the WWE title. Then you got like the Intercontinental.
I think that's the best format for.
It depends. You get a belt depending on where you're at in the card. If you're like there's a belt for the prelims.
How good are you?
Yeah, imagine you're the early prelim champion.
Wait, in WWE, the heavyweight champ was there? The world champion.
So there was at least when I was watching, there was two of them.
I feel like
there was the WWE champion, which was like on Monday Night Raw, and then there was a world heavyweight champion that was on SmackDown.
I knew there was a world heavyweight.
There was a world heavyweight, even though Rey Mysterio was the world heavyweight
That's what I was
champion.
thinking.
So I'm like,
yeah, I don't know if it
heavyweight.
Makes sense. Are they all heavyweights?
What is heavyweight to you? You know what I mean? UFC is 225 to 265.
yeah.
I don't know if Rey Mysterio was no
It's
225.
like 160, 150, and might be.
They see Rey Mysterio maybe like a 160.
Yeah, probably.
You know what I mean? The man was a powerhouse. Doing hurricanranas and whatnot.
He has 5 feet.
That's the next one we got to practice. We throw away the high kick, hurricanranas. They ain't never going to see that in a cage, in an octagon.
What is the hurricanrana?
That's the one where he runs at you. He like grabs the your
ropes.
head with his legs, and he spins around you and just throws you into the ropes.
Yeah.
So that's the first move to get you into the 619. He does that whole thing. Back to the MMA.
Yeah, right?
Shout out. We got to start watching again. This is just leading us back into watching WWE.
Little by little, I keep forgetting on the Netflix Mondays.
You know, it's funny because it's Monday Night Raw, and I'm like, what day is that on again?
Yeah. I
I don't know, man.
think.
Everything on streaming now, I don't even know. Shout out Could Have Been Love with Drewski.
Oh, yeah, that's just hilarious.
New episode dropping. I'm definitely watching that one.
It's probably my favorite show right now.
I'd have to say so. That
the most entertaining.
That and Deal or No Deal Island is crazy to me right now.
Oh, I'm gonna have to check that out.
That one's fire. I've only seen the first episode, but so far I'm in. But Ilya vacating the title to move up to 155. Here's my thing with it. So he wants to move up to 155 and immediately challenge Islam Makhachev for the title. Now, Islam has said, I'm not giving him an immediate title shot because I feel like he hasn't done enough for it to justify him moving up and doing that. Plus, now this is going to be the third title defense against somebody that's a 145er that's moving up to 155 rather than somebody who's in his weight class. So I don't know if that's necessarily going to be his next fight. Who do you see him fighting? We got some options.
Islam?
No. I'm talking about Ilya. Islam at this point, he's kind of in the same setup where Islam right now, he's either going to repeat fighting some of the guys he's already fought because he's already kind of beat the top 5 in his division. He's probably going to go up against Charles, I think was people's assumed next fight, but that one again would be another rematch. Most of the top 5 would be a rematch, and he won't move up to 170 to fight Bilal because they're boys apparently, and I guess that's forbidden. I don't know what's going on with that one.
I feel it.
I
don't know.
I don't know if Ilya necessarily, dude, I'm not going to sit here and act like he hasn't done some crazy stuff. So far, he's earned a lot of what he's gotten.
Especially because of who he's beaten.
That's what I'm saying. He knocked out Volkanovski. He knocked out, not knocked out, but he TKO'd Max Holloway. If he fucking knocks out Islam, that's gonna be another one that's just gonna be like, dude, who is this guy?
Yeah.
I don't even understand.
That would be crazy. You never know. I think you never know with Topuria. I don't know. I still think Islam.
So far he's been talking his talk and walking the walk. So I really can't. When he says I'm gonna do this and then he does that, when he's like I'm gonna knock out Volkanovski, I'm gonna knock out Max Holloway, and he does it. He says he's gonna submit Islam.
That would be the craziest.
Why wouldn't I not believe him? He's
But,
2
like,
for 2 so far.
These Georgians, man. Oh, he's Georgian.
He's
right?
Georgian, yeah.
Man, I
Back to
don't.
Spain.
At this point, just because of Dvalishvili, you can never.
Well, Ilya's also been saying that Georgian wrestling beats Dagestani Russian wrestling 10 out of 10 times. He's been saying
So I'd like to see how that.
He's been chirping.
Yeah, man.
I think it'd be an interesting matchup, but like a good point that's been brought to my attention. There's a size difference. Islam is a big dude.
Islam's
the fact
gonna
that
come
he
through in, like-
cuts down to 155 is crazy to me.
Yeah, right.
Like I feel like the only thing with him being at 170 is like maybe he'd be like a little bit shorter than some of the guys, but he's a big 170.
Yeah. He's definitely gonna freaking. I don't know. I can't see. He's gonna be like a polar bear on a freaking.
Yep.
On a walrus.
On a walrus?
I was trying to think of like a.
Put it on a T-shirt.
Yeah.
Polar bear on a walrus.
Just like smothering this. I don't know. I feel like Islam's gonna still.
I think he's still going to dominate. I'm not going to lie. He has that fight. But I don't know if that's necessarily going to be the first one. I think, like, if the UFC is like, yo, this is the fight we want to make, I don't think Islam's necessarily going to be like, no, I'm not fighting him. Because at this point, he's like, anybody, anywhere, anytime, any place. Like, I don't care. Bring him. It's fine.
Oh, man.
It'd also be a big money fight. That's a big one to me, too.
I feel like the division's not as crazy. Topuria could take over if he ever, I think he can beat Oliveira.
There's some opposition in there for sure.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. There's a couple of guys in there that I'd be interested to see him fight. Oliveira, I think, would be a good test. I think that'd be a good matchup.
Yeah.
That was part of what I wanted to go over. Like, if he doesn't fight Islam, Dustin, Charles, who does he fight? Dustin Poirier would be a good one.
That
I don't
would be a
think
good one.
I don't think that he would take that one.
I wouldn't do that if I was him. If I was either of them.
I don't think he'd be willing to fight a contender. I feel like it's the champ or nothing. You know.
Yeah.
That's another take that I feel like I can see him getting the shot at Islam, and I see them getting paid very well. I see Islam just being like another one down at this point,
yeah.
Because he's not going to fight Bilal, and it's either that or a rematch with somebody else. So he's like, you know what, I'll just take this. Why not?
He sees as much as like he says that he's down to fight whoever. He doesn't even care.
I mean, to me, like that's the vibe I get from Islam. Like he really doesn't care who it is. He doesn't care, like. At this point, when, except for maybe like Ramadan time, that he wouldn't want to fight anybody. But like for the most part, he's down to take on all comers. Like the fact that he fought Renato Moicano on like a day's notice or whatever, like that's pretty savage stuff,
like
man.
Gladiator
He's like, I don't care, man. Whoever. So I can see him taking the fight. That'd be dope if they did that in Spain. That's what Ilya's been asking for. They were like, let's go to Spain. But I feel like in this situation, it's him going into Islam's house, so they would probably want to do it somewhere else. But I feel like that'd be a big one.
You gotta do Abu Dhabi.
Abu Dhabi, you know what I mean?
I don't know, because it's like I don't think it's fair to have it in Spain.
Like, no, because that's like Ilya's home turf.
Yeah, it's that you. Have,
I don't think it affects Islam. I'm not.
I don't think it. I don't think it affects.
I don't think it affects him at all.
I think it does affect Ilya.
I think it
gives him a little extra boost.
It's Super Saiyan, bro.
Yeah, just a slight extra energy from the crowd. The spirit bomb. Everybody gives their energy, and he's gonna just feel the
fourth round when he's, you know what I mean, when he needs it. They're gonna be like Matador. He's like, I can see it happening. I just feel like it's too big of a fight for them to have anytime soon. I can see that one like, I don't know, International Fight Week in June. They're looking for something big. John Jones and Tom Aspinall hasn't been announced yet. Maybe they do something big like that.
Man, this summer is going to be crazy.
The summer's going to be great. I mean, for the most part, usually the summer's when they do the really good, like, cool fights. I feel like that's when we have, like, a pretty good Saturday nights are always, like, a fun time. Even the fight nights, they usually make some crazy stuff. But those are going to be great. But then since he vacated the title, now we get Alex Volkanovski versus Diego Lopez for the belt. That's an interesting way to win the belt. We've been saying Diego Lopez is going to get that belt.
Diego
now
Lopez.
He got to go through Alexander Volkanovski.
At some point, he's getting this belt.
I think he's going to get this
belt. He's been
belt.
climbing the ranks, and I feel like he's definitely capable. I think he's here now. You know what I'm saying? I think he's like, especially because Topuria's out, he could take over this division.
He really could. He really could. I see him as a top contender. I see him as somebody who right now could be a champion. We've seen a couple of things with him where it's like, all right, gas tank. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's circumstantial. Sometimes he takes like those last-minute, late-notice fights, so who knows? Yeah. But for the most part, he's been pretty solid. Seems like he's got good striking, good on the ground. For the most part, most of the competition I see him fighting. Even with the Ilya, I saw him as being like a good matchup for Ilya and somebody who could actually put him in danger in some certain spots.
Yeah.
And now that I see him taking on Alexander Volkanovski, I can see him finding a way with that one too.
Right.
Like, he's seen how Ilya did it. He can kind of adapt to that.
Yeah.
He's seen how Max has made at least progress against them. So he can kind of adapt to that as well. And he also brings a lot of tools to the table. And then, like you said, the rest of the division, I see it the same way. There's a lot of guys in there that I see him beating. There are some hidden ones like Movsvar where I feel like those guys might give him a little bit of a challenge. But, like, for the most part, I can see him at least getting, like, 2 or 3 title defenses before somebody comes knocking that gives him, like, a real issue. But a lot of those guys are dangerous. Yeah. I'm not going to lie to you.
Volkanovski, he's I don't want to see him back as champion.
No? You done with it?
I think I'm done with it. I don't know.
He was the GOAT, man. He was the I feel like once he did the old man Volk thing, you and Justin were both like, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm set off of this one, man. I didn't think it was that bad. Like, I feel like I liked how, like, every time I watched a Volkanovski fight, it was impressive to me that he continuously got better. And then he hit this, like, brick wall where he fought Islam, and I feel like it's only really been like a few fights, but it's like it seems like he's still there, like, in terms of technique, skill, athleticism, but it's like something where it's like, I don't know, man. Maybe it's like mentally he's off, where it's like when you're at that level, like, you got to be 100%. If anything I've learned from the years of watching the sport and listening to everybody, I've said it a couple of times on the show, like, you zig when you should have zagged. A part of that is, like, being fully focused on what you're doing right now.
Yeah.
Like, the moment you take your eye off the ball even for a second, you know what I mean?
There's a lot of these, like, fighters that, like, you don't want to count them out yet. They were great at one point, right? They were, let's say, a champion before.
Yep.
And then they'll still look great, like the Izzy fight.
Yep.
Just looking great, and they'll still lose the fight. They'll still get knocked out or something. Something always wrong happens where, like, Usman going fucking having a great fight. Yeah, having a great fight and then losing. And it's just like it's like, this is just your time.
Yeah.
I think sometimes it's just like, as good as you still are, for some reason, this just isn't your time anymore.
Well, this is the moment, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, in the last few years, we've seen a lot of the big names kind of fading out.
I know.
This is where you see it. It happens all the time in any sport. Sport. Shout out 806. You guys cover them all.
I know.
You see the tide turning all the time.
Constantly.
So this is the tide. It's turning. We're getting some new guys in there, and it's a weird thing because, like, you brought up Izzy. Yeah. Like, with his last performance, he was sharp.
Super sharp.
He was doing well. He just got, you know what I mean? He got clipped.
Right.
It is what it is, but I still see him competing at 185.
Dana White said it too. He saw it.
I don't think that
it takes away from his
Yeah, I don't think it takes away from him at all. I don't think that was like a performance where it was like him versus Sean Strickland, where you're like wondering what's going on with him, where he's just getting lit up like a Christmas tree somehow. You're like, how is he just like deflecting everything? How is he just having an answer for everything?
And it's crazy that, like, a Sean Strickland can fight so well against him, and then not keep the same energy when he's fighting.
I think it all comes down to, did you show up to work that day?
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit here and act like, you know what I mean? Yeah. I show up to work every day the same. Everybody has those days where you pull up and you're like, it's just not your day.
I go to play basketball and I'm going through the motions. And there's some days where I'm a dog.
Yeah, where you're just like, there's another level. I think that there's like, I think you have that all the time in anything you do. So I don't see it any different when it comes to professional athletes or professional fighters. I feel like they'll say, today was just their day. You know what I mean? And that's just, it is what it is. Sometimes it is just that person's day. And I think that was what happened with Sean against DDP, where, like, I don't know what it was, man. Some about him that just wasn't like clicking. Like he just wasn't.
I know.
He wasn't turning on the focus that he needed to
Maybe
be able
that
to like.
style. Maybe that DDP style.
He already no, because that's the thing is he fought him.
Yeah.
It was a close fight. People, including myself, thought that he won the first one. So it's like, all right, you already saw it. You know what he's coming at you with.
Yeah.
Now you know the answer is more volume.
Yeah.
Throw more than you did last time. Bingo. He's like, bet. I'm going to throw less than what I did last time. Almost half of what I did last time. Like, that's not at all what you want to do.
Extra careful.
Dude, I don't understand what
happened.
happened.
There's a point where, like, I get it, you're a great defensive fighter, but you gotta still put that volume up. You can't just focus the whole time.
That's my thing is, like, there's a difference between, like, us not mentally fully being here. Maybe we have an okay podcast episode, you know what I mean? Nothing too crazy. But then there's a difference between you stepping in a cage and you being a little off that day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You end up with some serious issues, CTE
You better be ready.
Like, you better be very focused and very aware of what you're doing. But I've heard a lot of fighters, like, now that they're older, retired, like, not in there, where they've talked about, like, being horrifically nervous before fights, like throwing up and all kinds of stuff. Like, even though, like, you see them on, like, the press conference leading all the way up to it, and they're like, no, they seem really focused. Like, they're, like, very, very much into this. Like, they're locked in on what's going on. But then that's just the front that they put on.
Yeah.
And then when they hear the music come on where it's time for them to make that walk, they're like, you know what I mean? And then it's not that fun of a time anymore.
And after you get, like, knocked out a couple times and I don't know. It's like you can see it in a lot of these fighters where once they get that knockout, they just ain't the same.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm worried about Volk, where, like, I feel like I see him on socials posting, like, all right, I'm back, or, like, he's, like, focused and he's energized and he's ready to go. But then at the same time, I'm worried that we're going to run into a situation where, like, the knockouts really did affect him.
Yeah.
Like, him losing those last, 3? Like, those are really, really going to affect him in a bad way.
Right.
I don't know if he's going to – I don't know. He took some time off. I don't know if that's going to be enough to kind of, like, you know, dust the cobwebs off and he comes back, like, a lot more alert and focused and ready to reclaim the belt and get that throne back. Or if it's now Diego Lopez's time and it's him showing that he's that guy and he's going to be the new champ at 145.
I feel like it's going to be Diego just because, I don't know. I can see like, I could imagine if let's say I got knocked out, right? That's probably going to be in the back of my mind. As much as you're a fighter, you still, now there's a tiny level of doubt on the next fight.
Oh, for sure.
Like there's a chance I do get knocked out this fight.
Dude, you got to think about it this way. Like, you're worried that you're going to get clipped at any moment. And then I guess it depends on the person that you're fighting. But I think it also changes the way that you fight.
Yeah.
Like, for example, maybe this time he goes a lot more, like, grapple heavy. You know, he's just like, you know what? I'm just going to wrestle him. I'm just going to take him top control the whole time, and I'm just going to make sure that this doesn't go anywhere where I'm put in some serious danger. But then having that in your back of your mind, what happens if that plan doesn't work? Now what? Now you're freaking out. Now you're bugging out because you're like, I don't know what to do. What's plan B? Well, plan B now is that you got to strike with him. But now you're worried that you're going to get clipped. The whole time you're like, are you putting yourself in the position for success anymore? Or are you know what I mean, messing up and you're zigging when you should have zagged? Next thing you know, you're waking up and someone's like, "You lost, bro."
What happened?
That's the situation you know what to be in, man. I don't know. I have Diego Lopez winning that one. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
I feel like
who else is?
It's gonna be a good one, but I feel like Diego Lopez is his time.
Everybody seems to leave that division.
Yeah, I mean, I think the next person that's like up and coming would be Figgy, Davison Figueiredo.
Yeah.
He's somebody that's on the rise. I feel like. I don't know, man.
And they have him against.
But he's not even – I don't know if he's going to be moving up that much because I think he's only in 135 right now. Let's see. Let's check.
Didn't they give him a new fight?
Let's see the ranking. Let's pull up the rankings here. Where we at? Featherweight. Okay. Oh, they haven't changed a whole lot there. No, actually, no. That's on me. Figgy's in 135, not 145. No, I would say – so we got – Volk, Max, Diego, Movsvar, and Yair are the top 5. So I see it this way. Max is also moving up to 155.
Okay.
We got Ilya now moving up to 155. So that clears out those two out of those top 5. We got Volk versus Diego Lopez. Winner of that's the new champ. Then we got Movsar Evloev on the way up. So I guess he fights whoever the winner is. But then now we also got, again, a part of the breaking news we got, Patricio Pitbull, who is a former Bellator champion, who was a part of the whole Bellator merging into PFL situation. A topic I wanted to go over that was just like so many of those guys are just like begging and pleading on Twitter. They're like, please give me a fight. I need the check. I want to fight. But it's also like a part of it, like their careers are being put on hold. Like these guys get a window of when they're like at their peak athleticism and they're like the best. And if they're just put on the shelf, they're not going to get that experience to be able to do it. Like we talk about it with ring rust and whatnot. So with him, he's part of that group of people that were like, you have a champion that's like, bro, let me go. I need to go fight somewhere else because you clearly aren't doing it. And now he gets a fight against who? Yair Rodriguez, who's also number 5. So I see him being put in the Michael Chandler position when Michael Chandler first showed up on the scene. Gets a crazy big win. Yeah. Maybe he fights one more time and then he gets a title shot. Or even if the one debut win is so crazy, title shot right after. So then you have him also in the mix of possibly being a contender for the title. So that's also pretty cool. You get somebody who's like that same kind of funnel system of like coming over who's already like well established that's going to be coming over to the UFC to be able to get a shot. I like that too.
Do you think he's on his he's a little older, right?
He is a little older, yeah.
Do you think this is still his prime?
I'd say he's got a couple more fun ones.
Okay.
But he's still good. Yeah. That's the thing is that like
how much longer can he?
It's the same thing like we were just talking about with Izzy. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like he's still good, but how many more does he got?
Right.
You know, how many more do you really want to be in there?
Comes to the UFC, killers, first fight gets clipped.
That's another thing. It could go real bad. It could go real bad. Because like, what's his name? Where is he? Where is his name? Nah, it wasn't him. Who was the last guy that Pantoja fought?
Urseg?
No, it wasn't Urseg. What's dude's name?
Barbosa?
No, it was the guy who came over from Japan.
Oh, I forget.
Kaya Sakura.
Yeah.
Debut, he gets a title shot.
Yeah,
but he lost.
Does he stay?
He stays. I think he stays, and I think he still gets a couple more cool fights. But like, it's a situation like that where it's like a lot of people don't necessarily know who you are, and then you're gonna come into this big organization. You're gonna try to make a big splash, and then maybe you don't do so hot.
What weight class is he?
Who? Pantoja, flyweight. 125.
What if he comes back and just like still takes over, even though he lost that fight?
He could. Listen, like it's a thing of like, hey, maybe it just wasn't your day.
Yeah.
I mean, he did. I will say this: Pantoja put it on him.
Yeah,
Pantoja dogged him. Yeah. So I wouldn't say, but you never know.
Like you came into this weight class and fought the best.
Yeah, at this point, like you got to throw him in pound for pound, like maybe top 5. Pantoja's been doing his
a beast,
thing.
man.
He's been doing his I'm a fan.
Yeah, me too.
After he won the belt, I was like,
Pantoja and Topuria. I don't know why, but I gravitated to their style of fighting.
They're both just like very aggressive, and like their performances are always exciting.
Yeah.
Like I feel like Pantoja, because the lighter weight guys, you don't really think about them too much. Every time I watch this fight, I was like, oh, this guy's really good, but I never really paid too much attention to him. And then like I think a lot of people were on the same wavelength. He got the title, and he did the whole thing where he's like, "Are you proud of me now, Dad? Yeah. Are you proud of me now?" And I was like, I'm watching you more often. I'm gonna keep an eye on this guy. This guy's pretty cool. I don't know why, but I was like that really was like, all right, you got me. Every now and then you find your thing where you're like, I found my fan. But with Patricio Pitbull, I think he can make a splash. I feel like it'd be cool to see him. That'd be an interesting one to just kind of pop up, and like comparing him to Michael Chandler. Oh boy, our Michael Chandler waiting on ice for that Conor McGregor fight. Here we are, Paddy Pimblett. Is it a fall? I would say so. Is it a soft landing? I would also say so.
I think it's like just right for him.
I would say for him, where he's at in his career, yes. But I would say the same thing. It's like it's weird because it's the same position with like Conor McGregor, where I'm like, fight matchup, good call here, good call, but he would have made so much more money.
I know, right?
But hopefully the UFC paid him they were like, we are so sorry.
Yeah.
Here's a good chunk of change, and here's a nice hefty promise behind this fight. Just do your thing, and we'll take care of you later. Like something, because at this point, like, I'd be so mad if I was him. You get this, you do the whole thing with the Ultimate Fighter that season was 2 years ago. I think even 3.
You do a whole freaking Ultimate Fighter.
Dude, you do the whole thing of the Ultimate Fighter, trying to fight at the end of the summer. It doesn't happen. Then you're waiting because all this speculation of him on doing this, that, and the third, and partying, and what happens doesn't happen. And then the whole court cases start happening.
Yeah.
Still not fighting, and you're just sitting there on
Who
your
did he end up
hands.
fighting, Chandler? He ended up losing to someone, right?
Like his most recent one?
Yeah, right?
See, this is how long it's been since this dude has been fighting, bro. I'm telling you, I don't even know. I think that this is going to be a good matchup for him. I think it's going to be a nice little middle ground where it's somebody of a good name, but, like, I don't know if it's necessarily going to, like, a win over Patty isn't necessarily going to boost your rankings or anything like that. It's not going to get you a title shot or anything like that. But that's why I'm hoping that, he stays, like, but I hope he gets paid. Charles Oliveira. He took a fight against Charles Oliveira again, and then he lost again. Yeah. I think, man, at this point.
Yeah. It's like,
does he, like, I mean, I don't know if they put that Conor McGregor fight on ice for him later or what happens with that. Like, I don't know if they necessarily just kind of hold that or if Conor's done in the UFC.
Conor might. You hear he's trying to get into bare knuckle?
I don't know if he's gonna fight in bare knuckle because I know that he's one of, like, the co-owners or something along those lines. He's definitely a big face of the bare knuckle right now. But I don't know if they're necessarily gonna let, like, they being the UFC are gonna let him fight in bare knuckle because they're like, yo, you still got 2 fights or whatever on this contract here. Like, if we're not gonna get, something crazy, we're still gonna use these 2 fights.
I would love to still see, even though, like, with all this madness, imagine he wins one fight before he leaves. Could be anyone. It doesn't have to be a freaking best of the best.
I think it's a weird thing with him, but I think if he gets that one, I think a lot of people are like, all right.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they're like they were hating, but they're like, all right.
This is like a top 10, not really like I don't even know. Maybe.
Well, that was the whole thing with Michael Chandler at the time. Everybody was like, this is a good fight. It's someone who's exciting, someone you could beat, someone who's, like, gonna really put on a show.
What if he beat Paddy?
2 years though.
Ireland versus England.
That would be good.
I think that's a good little freaking. Why not?
I feel like that would be really good for Paddy.
Yeah,
and I can see that happening. And I think Paddy, I'm not gonna lie, I think Paddy handles him.
Yeah, I feel like if Paddy wins,
gets him on the ground though. I think on the stand up, I think Conor might light him up. I'm not gonna lie to you, but
for sure.
But I think I can see Paddy winning that one. It's just the fact that Conor's been out for so long and he's partying and doing one. I don't see, like, listen, I at least see other people training or whatever. You know what I mean? Posting everything I see of Conor now when he comes across my feed is him lit out of his mind in some rave discotheque in some country. I don't know what's going on with that.
Trying
guy.
to get his record label popping.
Yo, shout out to the record label.
Greenback Records.
I'm gonna let you know that whole thing is staying in.
Yeah.
But that is a firm call though. That whole thing is staying in. Greenback Records is crazy. Sponsor the pod.
Everybody.
If they never make another album, I won't care. It's insane. I feel that though.
Man, I think it's the craziest.
Out of anything you could be doing, 2 years off a layoff, he's over here with a record label, man. Whatever. Peace to him, I guess, man. I don't know, man. But I really don't know. The only person I see that is up for right now is Paddy. I guess if anything, Chandler's just like, at this point, let me just get paid. I still got to feed my family. I still got to take care of what I got to take care of. Let me just get paid. Let me put on exciting fights. If I feel like the best, it's unfortunate because, like, if the fight still happens, great. But the best thing that I feel like he can do right now is just keep fighting and put that away from him. Yeah. Then people just kind of like, it'll still be there, but I feel like it's a blemish on his record. But it's not his fault.
Right. He lost to Charles Oliveira, but, like, there's a lot of these fighters that I feel like are great fighters. Just stay in your lane. You know what I'm saying? Don't the ones that try that. I feel Michael Chandler is somebody that's like, don't fight the contenders.
Well, that's
just stay around the 10.
Well, it's tricky because, like, if you do well, you kind of move up. But I will say that there's a lot of fighters that are like that, where it's like they win 2, they lose 2, they win 3, they lose 4. You're like, what happened there? But it's I get you. You're like the ones where, like, I'd like to see this in, like, a car accident for sure. Like, like I don't know, man. There's quite a few fighters that I feel like are in that. Where I will also it's a weird thing where some of them it's like maybe it's a skill thing, but other ones it's like there's something there where like I know you're just missing this gear that you just need to figure out, and then you can be in that. For example, I never thought Sean Strickland was gonna be a champion.
Yeah, right.
Look where he was at for a little bit. Like, that's pretty impressive to me.
Right.
So there's a lot of other fighters where I feel like are kind of, like, for example, Michael Chandler had a path. Michael Chandler, when he first got there, I was like, see you at the top. Yeah. I was a fan. I'm still a fan. And I was like, I could see him getting to that belt. But, circumstances and situations, he came across a lot of fighters. We started seeing the holes in the game. Charles Oliveira became the guy. You know what I mean? We saw him.
It's like there's certain people that can, like, you're just good enough to get to, like, 3.
To get to 3.
And then you don't have that gear to be champion.
Well, what about Max Holloway now? Like, all love to him, but what was 3 shots against Volkanovski and 1 against Topuria has not touched that belt.
Crazy, man.
Like, it's right there. And just can't.
You got to give him to Poirier.
That's another one. Technically he held interim. He was an interim champion for a little bit, but he never got unified. I'm the kind of status. But he's another one where he's fought the best of the best, went to war, won a lot of them, but hasn't. You know what I mean? There's something that's just kind of right there.
And then Max Holloway gonna go out just to fucking.
That was been the memes that I keep seeing. That's so funny. Max Holloway upset looking at his phone, seeing the news of Ilia Topuria also moving up to 155.
Because at that point, we didn't even have to fight at such a low weight class.
No,
we could have had.
Why did I cut down?
Yeah, we could.
Why did I cut down?
We could have done this way earlier. We would have been a way. Could have been a crazier fight.
I think it would have been because I don't know. He looked real comfortable at 155 when he fought Justin Gaethje. He looked like he was that's what you should be. He's a taller, I feel 145er. So for me, I feel 155 is where he should be at. Now, he's not. I think it's weird to be he's a little older, but he's still 30 or 31 or something like that.
Crazy.
It's weird to think about, right?
He's been around for a while.
Bro, I remember before I really got into watching UFC, I was playing UFC 1 and UFC 2 on like way back on the Xbox and stuff like that. He was always in the games.
Yeah, he's been in the games forever.
That's what I'm saying. It's weird to think about him still at it, but still so young. And besides the Ilia thing, he's never really been seriously hurt or knocked out. He's been in wars for sure. He's taken some damage, but never anything where you're it's you see him, diminishing returns. You see him kind of dropping down off his game. Nothing like that. But I don't know, man. I'd be upset if I was him. I'd be like, damn, man, we could have done this on 155. I didn't have to do all that weight cut. You didn't have to do that weight cut neither. We could have been chilling, bro. Maybe it would have been a crazy fight.
Does he not have that champion gear, Max?
He does.
You think so?
I think it's his timing. Situation is a timing thing. It's the same thing as a Dustin Poirier, and there's a few other guys where it's man, you're so good, but damn, there's one guy.
There's always somebody there.
Slightly better. Well, Volkanovski, in his weight class, I don't know necessarily if he just never went up to 155 to fight Islam. If he met with Ilia without ever fighting Islam, if he would have beat him. You know what I mean? If it's you never know with the timing of everything and how things go. It could have been a situation where genuinely that's just the better guy. Or it's a situation of timing and situations.
As good as Max is, I can't see him beating Islam.
No, for example, Renato Moicano getting the title shot on a day's notice or whatever. You think if he had a full camp towards Islam, because he had a full camp going up against Beneil, but a full camp where he focused on Islam, fighting Islam, the outcome would have been different?
No, not the.
No, that one you can tell.
I feel Islam would have. Figured you out.
He would have done it anyway.
He would have figured you out from the beginning.
Right now, I can't sit here and tell you that I think Ilia proves a threat to Islam, and I'm not. I'm also gonna sit here and tell you that I don't think that anybody for the most part, well, not anybody. I would say there's a good amount of people at 170 that Islam could just ragdoll handle pretty well. I would say a Shavkat would give him some problems, but I don't think necessarily that a lot of the guys at 170 he would have too much difficulty with. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
He would handle a good amount of those guys. So that's a person where you're it's the same thing as John Jones, where you're just dude, I'm sorry, but he's just a guy.
Yeah.
There's other people that John Jones has fought where you're man, this guy's incredible, but you had to fight John Jones. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, right.
I'm so sorry. You could have been the guy, but GSP existed or whatever it might be.
Exactly, yeah.
It just wasn't your time. But then over time, things change. But then there's also the thing of like the conversation of GOAT. It's a GOAT within a generation, within a situation, within a moment. You know what I mean? Like, there's a passing of the torch.
Right.
I guess the topics of of this episode is like the generations now, changing, and we're changing the years, and we're handing it over to the new guys, and we're just seeing a change right now. It's crazy.
All the old guys are kind of like fading away a little bit.
Some of them are still in there, but it's the thing of like watching them, I guess, start to get older in their career and making the right decisions, because some of them need to go. Some of them are deciding to stay, and I don't know why. Like all love still, but Henry Cejudo, dude, I feel like you gotta go.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that he's not like he could fight, but now he's at the point where it's like those middle. You know what I mean? You're fighting 6 through 10 or whatever. Maybe. But I don't know necessarily if you're gonna be at the championship level. And at this point where you have this crazy credentialed career, is this how you want to go out? I don't know necessarily. Like an Anthony Smith, who's now with his retirement fight. For a while, Anthony Smith has been on this path of like he's kind of like middle of the pack fighter. It's about time to wrap up, and he recognizes that. Let me take my fight. Let me go.
Yeah.
Now you get the other guys who are fighting in the GFL over here that are like 47 that are lacing up the gloves again. You're like, are you sure about this? I don't know if this is a smart idea, but I guess they just can't get out of the game.
That's all they know.
That's all they know, but it's not.
Just start coaching, man.
But it's not hooping in a men's over 40 league. You know what I mean? This is you're fighting. This is a much.
It's like me going Euro League at 40.
It's great, but even I feel like football players after a while they're like, maybe flag. Maybe we just play flag. We just deal with that. We're not gonna get. There's no need for the pads. I'm not tackling nobody. These knees are shot.
Do you think these are gonna be good fights? Like the GFL fights?
I think so. I think there's a few of them.
Because
they're not all like older guys.
Gonna look fucking washed up, really like tired by the.
I guess I think it just all depends on how they put on the fights. Because I think the issue with like the PFL has some good fighters, but I feel like the product that they put on, like when I'm actively watching it, I'm not a fan of at all. Yeah. So I don't focus on any of it. But every now and then I catch a fight where I'm like, who are these guys? Yeah. Who are these girls? Like I need to follow them. Like what's going on? These people are amazing.
The presentation they could definitely.
But the presentation needs to be worked on. It's the same thing with the GFL. They got some pretty good fighters that are in there, and some guys that are like on the older side. But I'm still gonna watch them fight. Yeah. So I feel like if they put on a good performance and they also put on a good product to show them, I'm in. I'm sold.
You gotta present it well. You gotta present it well.
That's the thing. You gotta present it well. If they don't present it well, then I'm not tuning in. That's the only thing. They gotta make it look good, and then I'll watch.
Like as big as AEW's getting.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't switch up and start watching AEW.
I don't even watch WWE to get into AEW.
Yeah,
I know. That's the thing.
Presentation has to be up to par with WWE for me to.
That's the thing. Is it's tricky with those types of organizations where sometimes they don't have the money like a UFC unless they have a backing from some random person that wants to like build it. But for the most part, they're not gonna have that. I think the best thing they can do is like a one championship does, and you got to do something different. Just make yourself a different type of thing.
Yeah.
I don't think. If you try to model yourself after the UFC, unless you have some of the best fighters on the planet, you're not going to be bigger than them. And unfortunately,
you're always going to be like WCW.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the best fighters on the planet are going to want to go to WWE over being at WCW. They're going to make that crossover. You know what I mean? We're going to have
ECW.
We're going to have the Monday Night War. The ECWs are street beefs on YouTube. That's what that is. That's ECW. Actually, realistically, Bare Knuckle is ECW for sure.
And then like PFL, baby, is WCW.
Nah, yeah, I'd say WCW or today's AEW.
Yeah.
I'd say that's what they're at. I don't know, man. They doing all right, but I feel like right now they're
TNA.
On TNA. Oh, that's even better. They're TNA. They're TNA. Man, I feel like I literally never watch wrestling, but every time it just goes right back. It's just too easy to compare it to. Yeah, man. Right. It's too easy. I feel like if they had, again, I always go back to this. I feel like if the UFC started doing some WWE like promo stuff, it'd be fantastic. Man.
Yeah.
And none of that, obviously not pre-scripted fights or anything like that, but at least like, I don't know, man. I feel like tell me it wouldn't be sick to watch like I don't know. Let me think. John Jones, Tom Aspinall. They get to walk out, and it's pyrotechnics.
Yeah.
They have the jumbotron.
Yeah.
They have like the previous fights. You just see the clip of John Jones with Vitor like this. He just drops his body. Like you just see that on a big screen behind John as he's walking out.
That'd be dope.
You know what I mean? Like
montage.
I know it's more production they got to put into it, and it's a lot more things they got to figure out. But I think the fans would be like very much into it because I think one championship they do cool walkouts.
Yeah.
PFL doesn't really.
And they have to have like a cool presentation to it where like you know how like SmackDown had that big ass fist back in the day.
Yeah.
Something like or whatever. It's like fucking Armageddon or something. It was a crazy.
It's always
event.
a theme.
Yeah.
It's always a theme. Well, they go to all the different cities, so they could do something for that. Or if it's gonna be like a holiday or something like that, that'd be cool. The giant fist. Would be
name them or name the events, and then maybe name the.
They go by the numbers, I guess.
Yeah.
It's always the numbers.
UFC 400 Battle of the fucking.
I think that's too many names. You
Yeah,
just type it in Chat GPT and see what they pop up with. Because at that point, that's too many names to go over, man. Let's see what else. What else got announced? Bilal Muhammad versus Jack Della Maddalena. So this one was interesting. Everybody was waiting for Bilal versus Shavkat to get announced, and that did not happen. According to reports, Shavkat is injured, unfortunately. By reports, I mean his Twitter. Apparently he's injured, so he had to back out of that one. He said, listen, guys, I will get my shot, but it will be later on this year, unfortunately. But JDM stepped up.
Yeah.
2-week notice. He was like, I'm in it. I mean, the fight is going to happen in 2 weeks, but it's going to happen in a few months.
But imagine that, like, at least good for him because he was going to fight Leon Edwards.
He was going to fight Leon Edwards, and they swapped him out of that fight, and they put him in a title shot.
So you're thinking, like, so now all of a sudden, like, oh, what do you mean? Oh, I'm going to get a bigger check?
Bigger check.
Oh, I got a chance at it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you're preparing for this Leon Edwards fight, which is still, like, a lot of preparation for.
Yep.
So I want to say you're going to be ready for Bilal, but because it's a whole different style.
Very different style. I would say you also, like,
I think because
you wouldn't be upset because either way, I think you kind of prep for that. If you're like, you in your mind, I think you never want to think ahead of it, but at the same time, you're like, if I beat Leon, I'm next.
Yeah.
Like, I'm next. Like, I'm in that pool. I'm next.
I got to prepare for Bilal if I win this fight.
Yeah, like at some point, you got to keep that in your mind. Like,
and I don't think, to be fair, I don't see him beating Bilal.
No, I think Bilal handles him.
yeah. I think
I'm a Bilal fan.
Yeah.
People slept on him, bro.
I was so shocked on the Leon Edwards fight. And like
I wasn't.
Just because at the time, I don't think I knew who, like, just like that security that didn't recognize him.
Yeah.
That was me a couple fights ago.
With Bilal.
Yeah, Bilal, I did not know how much of a dominant Islam-like fighter
I would say, like, he's always been kind of like that guy, but I would say it's been a little bit more recent. For me, where was it? Where did I like? Oh, there it is.
Oh, Bilal.
Him versus Wonder Boy Thompson is where I was like, Bilal, hold on. Bilal's kind of doing his thing. Then I saw him versus Luque, and then the one that really got me was him versus Sean Brady. He knocked him out.
Oh, I see.
And I'd never seen him put hands on somebody like that. I was like, he's evolving every single fight and getting to a point where I can't, like, every time I see his name, people would joke about, like, or forget the name or all that kind of stuff because his nickname, again, I'm not a big fan of Bilal, remember the name. Like, you got to change it. But a lot of people would clown on him, but I'm like, no, guys, he's actually, like, a pretty good fighter. I think it's one of those things of, like, depending on who he's fighting, he fights the way he needs to win. So sometimes it's not the most exciting fight, and a lot of the times it's to a decision. So it's like the same thing as, who am I thinking of? Marab.
Marab, yeah.
Where you're like, decision machine, and every now and then you get excited, but for the most part, you're like, all right, it's a Marab fighter. I know what I'm getting. I know what's going to happen.
And at this point, I love it, especially with all the Dagestanis, I'm kind of getting to appreciate the ground game. Like, it doesn't, if like a Bilal fight excites me more than it used to.
Yeah.
Or like if they on the ground the whole time, I'm not even upset about it sometimes.
No, if it's work, no.
I like seeing the art of it sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, oh, he especially like takedown defense. I find that part very interesting.
Yeah, if there's a good commentator too, because like guys, uneducated MMA, if you understand the brand, I don't know what's going on a lot of the times, or at least I understand kind of what's going on, but I don't understand the technique. So like, If there's like a Joe Rogan or somebody like that, that's kind of, or even a Laura Sanko who's really breaking down like the movement. DC does a good job, where like they make it at least easy enough for me to comprehend. Like, okay, I see what's happening, and I understand the small things, the way they're shifting their weight, the moving of the leg ever so slightly, the hip movement.
I definitely have been learning a lot. Like,
yeah,
like sometimes I'm thinking like if I was in a fight right now, I know to like. You know what I'm saying? You find my way to a fucking, what's it called?
We have really become those guys where we're like, no, I know what to do with it. We have no training. We're like, man, I watch enough UFC. I know what to do. We're over here just
we're
like.
Still talking regular, not just a regular human being, not somebody that trains either.
No.
Like, passing to like the side, I can't even fucking.
Side control over
side
here.
Control and get full mount and like.
You play the games and you also see it. You have to do the game. You do the training, so you see the movement. You're like, I see what they do there.
So if I get my.
Hey, Max Holloway said he learned some moves from playing UFC 5. So like that's what I'm saying. I'm gonna be out here playing UFC 5. I watch enough UFC. I might know a thing or two.
Nah, maybe I can do an armbar.
Someone's gonna come up to us in the street and be like, "So I heard you know UFC," and be like, "I don't know UFC, but."
It's like, man, whatever. Let's get it. Let's get it. I don't know, man.
We'll figure it out. I think Bilal's going to get that easy dub. I think that he's going to fight Shavkat probably after. In a weird world, if JDM wins, I say then if Islam then beats Ilya, that's the next fight, then Islam's going for that 170 belt.
100%.
The moment that Bilal is no longer champion, Islam's like, Dana White.
Yeah. That sounded just like it.
Like, I think it's going to be immediate. Like, I don't think that they're going to hold off on that at all.
But would you think... Especially because if Bilal loses, he'd probably want another chance back to the. You think he'd?
Yeah, it depends. Well, I will say like.
Would he step on toes?
Right now, the way that it is, I don't know, man. I don't know if the UFC like has beef with him, but they definitely like. They're like, yeah, Bilal's cool. You know what I mean? Like they don't have a lot of excitement for him.
They don't fuck with him like
so
that.
Like if
I noticed that anybody that's slightly like. I don't even want to say it.
The thing is, for me, it's like you got to put on exciting fights.
Yeah.
Like, for example, like that whole wrestling style and all that kind of stuff. I've always said the comparison. It's different when it's like you're just wrestling them, you're hugging them, you're holding them to the ground, versus Khabib, where it's like, I smash your boy. And you see him getting on top control,
they got the
mauling,
wrist,
and he's literally just like elbow. You see him holding the wrist and just dropping an elbow. You're like, Jesus Christ. And he's mauling the person.
Like, I would think to do that now.
Yeah, and then
if I was in those shoes, I would now, because of this.
You're like wrist control.
I would think, okay, drop an elbow here.
You're immediately locking the leg. You're like, figure four, wrist control. I'll tell you, we learned. We know.
Yes.
We're not uneducated no more.
Learn it now.
Take some title boxing classes.
I'm so like, not that I can't wait to like give it. I'm just curious now. Like, I know more than I used to.
No, yeah, you want to see what happens. Like, I feel like after a little bit, you're like,
more knowledge now.
We'll test it out. But that's why I want to get into training. I feel like after a certain point, like I keep saying, I talk enough about it. Where like at this point, like I'm gonna start reaching out to gyms and seeing what's up, and we'll take a couple classes, see where I'm at, and see if we get educated in this uneducated space. You feel me?
Right.
But I don't know, man. I think that this is a showing of like we are learning too much. Where like even Melvin the other day was saying you cannot call yourself uneducated anymore. Like you are literally like the way you are speaking right now. I was like, yeah, I get it, man. But it's just me being a degenerate. I'm just like. Nothing else catches my attention except for fighting for some reason. I don't know what it is. I can get earlier we talked about like TV shows and whatnot. Nah, we'll drop it all Saturdays. Fights. I'm sorry, fights. Like it's in my blood at this point.
I don't know. Growing up, right? Fights was like boxing fights was huge. I just feel like that's just the way of life. Like we're supposed to be this into fighting.
I get it.
Like as an entertainment, like
there's definitely something there where I'm like, there's a reason that I'm like locked into this.
I'm supposed to be into this.
But I feel it kind of a part of me sometimes feels like I'll get videos, right? And Leslie will be like Snapchatting me, and she'll send me the video later just to show me how ridiculous I'm being. Where I'm yelling and screaming at my TV, and it feels like a caveman who just discovered fire. And I'm just like,
Yeah,
he's like,
but it's times when mom is like, yo, y'all some degenerates, y'all. Like, more so, why aren't you a degenerate?
yeah, something about it.
Like,
Yeah,
it's like, wait a second. You say it like it's a bad thing. I'm thinking like if you're not a degenerate, that's a bad thing.
My thing is like so far, like I have plenty of friends that aren't as into it as I am.
Yeah.
But let it be on the TV.
Yeah.
And they be like, oh, what's going on over here? Like immediately they're like, oh, what's
Yeah.
going on? Who's winning?
Like, how is this not entertaining to anyone? I think it's like the
It's a big sign to me if you're in my living room and I have like live fights on and you're just like on your phone not paying attention. It's a big
it's like,
sign
wait,
for
like,
me.
how is this not intriguing in any way or catching your attention in any way? Because dude just got his fucking face.
He's leaking right now. He's leaking on the canvas, and you don't care not even a little bit? How?
Just got caught with an elbow, flying kick, and that didn't excite you the slight bit?
Not even a little bit. I saw the most beautiful spinning heel kick of my life, and you didn't even bat an eye. Make it make sense. Like,
the fucking double back fist.
the double back fist, and you didn't cry even a little bit? Come on. That's how you know that I'm addicted, man. I don't know what it is, bro. I stumbled across it one day, and I was like, yeah, this is it for me.
This is good. I was a World Star Street Fights.
Well, that's my thing.
Fight comps.
That catches my eye, unfortunately, when I'm on.
Every week.
Every time.
Every one. I remember there was a point I'd go through every compilation that they had on worldstar.com when I was younger.
Well, this weird thing is, like, I remember, like, not. Like, I guess I might have seen a little bit of the UFC when I was younger, but not really, like, I never really, like, locked in on it. But, like, I will say this. I definitely remember being in middle school getting sent YouTube links like, you got to see this. What's this? And it's Kimbo Slice in some backyard in Florida putting the mitts on some dude who was clearly not wanting to be in that fight.
Kimbo's such a legend, man. Because that was the beginning of YouTube in a way, like.
Because that's when I started, like, I remember, like, the real intro into when I started learning at least some of the fighters' name was getting UFC 1 or 2 on, like, Xbox 360 or something like that and playing it on there. And that's when I was like, oh, okay, I kind of see what's going on here. Like, this is dope. But I never knew where to watch it. But
in the beginning, it was very, like style-driven.
Yeah.
Where, like, this is my style. Hopefully this wins.
Yeah.
You know, like.
Well, I think it's way better now.
Yeah, way better.
Because when it's hard, it's like the same thing as like when someone's trying to show you like a classic movie or something like that.
Yeah.
You're like, watch this fight. There are some where you go back, you're like crazy. But I remember like a few weeks ago, I was like, let me see UFC like 1 through 10. And I was like, get this off my TV,
Yeah,
man.
get this out of here. You
Because
know,
it's like watching World Star fights at that point. Like that's what I feel like I'm witnessing right now. Where you're like either you're watching
disorganized fucking madness.
Either it's a car crash or it's two people that are like they're kind of similar but they're both terrible, or you get something where it's like, okay, one guy's clearly overly powered right now and he is murdering somebody legally in an octagon.
Yeah,
I don't know how I feel about it.
Just the evolution of fighting. It's just like how Brian Scalabrine was saying, like the evolution of basketball players. How like back then it's just like it doesn't compare to what it is now.
No.
I feel like the same way with fighting, where like there's no way. Sorry, like I know there's a lot of great legends, but there's no way you throw a Chuck Liddell in this era and like, he achieves.
I want to put it to you this way. Chuck Liddell was what? 205?
Yeah.
All right. Who's the 205 champion right now? Alex Pereira.
There's no way. There's just no
Chuck
way.
getting that left hook.
There's
Chuck
no
going night.
way. Yeah, Chuck Liddell.
Chuck Liddell in his prime? No.
Like Tito Ortiz.
No way.
No fucking way.
No
He's
way.
just outsmarted, I think.
I like the only thing is like and again it's hard because it's like I'm I guess a newer fan, but like talking to these guys and everybody still puts like BJ Penn up on the like so like a BJ Penn, what did he fight, 155, 170, so like him versus an Islam. Who wins?
There's no fucking way. There's no Jesus Christ.
I don't even know a lot of, but I'm like, I feel like it's
crazier.
That's what I'm saying. Like, let's see.
No way.
Who's that? So the only one that I would say is like, all right, yeah, it would be like prime GSP 185 champion versus Bilal Muhammad. I could see GSP, you know what I mean, doing work. But like, other than that,
I don't even want to like put. Disrespect his name, but that's even a tough one for GSP to like overcome.
Well, I'm saying Bilal's putting his name up with the GSP, so he might be there for sure, man. I don't know. It's crazy to think about, but yeah, no, man. These generation gaps, they definitely are there, and a lot of them you just like maybe while you're in it, you don't notice it, but then after a while, you're noticing the same group of guys kind of going through the same kind of motions. You're like, damn, man, this is bad. We'll cut to this past fight night that just passed by. We're recording this. I don't know when this will be out. We'll figure it out. Jared Cannonier, who just won, and he's 40. And Angela Hill, who also won, and she's also 40. Yeah. So that's what I was saying earlier, where like some of these people, like, it's all depending on the matchups. I will say, like, you definitely understand that the caliber that they bring to the table has gone away a little bit, and you're like, title shot, maybe not. Right. Middle pack, probably your spot, though.
You got this.
You got this for sure. That, lock in there, and you're golden. But
I guess this maybe some people that like were ahead of their time back in the day, and maybe they can blend in this era. Like I've been watching a lot of doing my basketball research, and freaking there's some people like that are just clearly like, Jesus Christ, this guy sucks.
Yeah.
Even though he's a legend.
Yeah.
And then there's some people like, wait a second, you remind me of a modern player.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I feel like there's some fighters maybe that had that modern style back then that maybe didn't translate back then, but if they were in this era, maybe.
I could see that happening, because also, like, if you're talking about, like, are you saying like take them and then they're raised in this modern MMA, like how they would adapt to it? I would say a lot of them would be able to adapt to it if because like back then there weren't all these schools, you didn't have all these camps, like you weren't able to like go train in multiple different states or multiple different countries and get that different look. Back then, even when we're talking like you can even chalk it up to like maybe 10, 15 years ago. Even that to now has also been a huge jump because of like how easily accessible it is for people to communicate with each other and kind of like cross-train and whatnot.
Right.
I think there's a lot of the older fighters that would benefit from that. Now, if we're talking like take them and their style and bring them now, a lot of them get killed.
Yeah,
a lot of them.
There was just this one I was watching, like this player is Jerry West from the freaking he's in the 50s, 60s, and I was thinking like, out of all of these players, you look just like this player, like Tyler Hero. Like, I was thinking like such a modern style. Like let's say what's the style that's killing it right now?
Well, I will say like if with that, I feel like you can still focus on like one aspect of the game that maybe not a lot of people like. That's another thing this guy was talking about. Like you focus on something that not a lot of people are focusing on. You open up this new lane where there's a window of time that you will be the best at it until they adapt to what's going on. So that's another thing. So like maybe there's like in all sense. You also hear in fighting, because that's the sport that I watch the most, but you hear it a lot in other sports as well. It's all about the fundamentals. Yeah. Like, are you keeping up with the fundamentals? So, like, sometimes doing some of the flashy stuff that maybe, like, nowadays everybody and their grandmother wants to hit a flying knee or a spinning heel kick and get that crazy highlight moment. Maybe they're not going to get that, but you hit somebody with a clean 1-2, like a Kamaru Usman to a Jorge Masvidal. Like, it's a beautiful shot either way, and it's still a crazy highlight moment, but it's really simple.
I feel like to be able to, maybe not, but like for me, before I focus on all the like crazy moves and great things, I always go back to fundamentals and make sure that's as sharp as possible, so that when I try a crazy move, that's way easier.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, it's just like
you need a base.
You need the base.
You need the base.
You can't just be just fucking. I don't know. I'm trying to translate it, but like,
I don't know sport.
Yeah,
I don't know sport ball.
Nah, it's all good, but like, fundamentals is key for everything, I think.
No, I feel you. At the end of the day, you got to know the fundamentals to be able to build off of that and get into the crazy stuff. You know what I mean? You got to know how to throw the 1-2, to know how to throw the 1-2 back fist, spinning heel kick combo.
Yeah, right.
Shout out UFC 5. I'll be learning.
I could improve my combos.
I feel like a lot of these guys are going to definitely have to sharpen up, and they're going to have to see where – because, dude, I'm telling you, with all these announcements – the whole landscape just changed in one night.
They just like snow globe.
Here you go. We'll figure out what it looks like afterwards. And I'm excited to see it. And I think we're definitely seeing a changing of the guard. We're seeing a lot of the older guard getting put to the test of like, you either perform or you're getting put out to pasture. There's a few of the guys now that we also saw in some of these announcements where you're kind of seeing them where they are in their career, and you're like, I don't think you're a title shot contender anymore, unfortunately.
Right.
You're still a draw, and at this point, you got to realign your focus to, like, at that point, becoming a money fighter. Like, it's the same thing as, like, you get a Kevin Holland, where, like, he's been a subject of our conversations often, where, like, man, he's good, but, man, he doesn't focus sometimes, or, man, he does some dumb shit where you're like, all right, I guess we're no longer going to be a title contender. We're just going to be getting paid, and he's cool with it. But at the end of the day, you're a prize fighter, so get that prize, man. I ain't hating on it. You know what I mean?
Right? It's just like, I don't know. I forgot the point I was making. But.
Yo, honestly, that's beautiful. That's a perfect way to end the episode of Uneducated MMA. Ladies and gentlemen, I have been Juan Bread, the host with the most, and of course, co-host to my left, the BMF champion of the world, REG. Big shout out to Gabe. Big shout out to 806 The Show. Big shout out to, let's see, Nerd Gods, A Vibe Entertainment. Shout out to the Wax Museum in Salem.
Okay.
Let's see. Who else we got? I don't know. Shout out to the fans.
Shout out to the fans. Shout out to all the. Shout out to Matt Doherty.
Shout out to Matt Doherty.
Well,
again, I don't know when this episode's going to come out because this fight is in 2 days, February 22nd at Foxwoods. Shout out Matt Doherty, Salem's very own and new. I think, man, we got to pull up to his fights, man. I know, man. I feel like the scheduling, we got to figure it out, man.
I know.
But you know, here at Uneducated MMA, we're always supporting.
For sure. I haven't seen a live fight yet.
No, we got to go.
I've seen Monday Night Raw. I've been to Monday Night Raw.
My thing is that, like, it seems like in Boston they don't really have a whole lot, but in Foxwoods you just got to take a little bit of a drive and we'll pull up. So who knows? You might see Uneducated MMA. We'll go get those VIP press passes soon. You'll see us in suits, all you know what I mean, microphoned up like this. So what do you think today? We'll see it soon. But shout out to everybody. Remember to like, share, comment, subscribe, send the episodes to the homies. Talk your talk in the comments.
What you think
Let
about
me know.
this? What you think about that?
No, I'm telling you, a lot of breaking news and breaking news. So I'm not going to lie to you guys for the next couple of weeks. We got a couple of fight nights coming up, so we're probably going to come at you with some episodes similar to this one, where we're just going to be going over some MMA news, some crazy fight night details that we're going to go over. And the next pay-per-view we got, UFC 313, Alex Pereira versus Ankalaev. We finally got the title shot with Ankalaev.
Yeah,
we'll see if the boy does the work. He's not a wrestler like everybody thinks. But as always, thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Peace. Uneducated MMA. Follow us. Bye.
Hell yeah.